And just like that, it's 2026. Happy New Year, everyone. As we move into the new year, it's time to, I suppose, set some goals and focus on what you want to do in the Pokemon investing space in 2026. Before we do that though, I just wanted to say thanks everyone for tuning into the channel. If you're not subscribed, by all means, click subscribe, come along for the journey. Pokemon investing is such a fun investment to park your money. I always say it's not the be all and end all. It's 5-10% of your portfolio in my opinion, but what a fun way to invest your money. It's so cool, particularly if you've got some nostalgia and some intrinsic motivation attached to the Pokemon IP, like probably a lot of you guys and girls watching have. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the market being over this supposed crash, and let's talk about what we should be parking our money into in 2026. And more importantly, I've already spent some money in 2026. Why not start off in the first morning of it? This is one of those videos where you don't need to watch anything up on the screen. I've been doing a few of these lately. Life's very busy at the moment. It's been hard keeping up with creating content over Christmas and New Year's. So not heaps of data. These are more conversational based videos. So pop it on in the headphones while you're at the gym. Pop it on while you're going for a drive at work. To work, or maybe on the telly in the background while you're doing some housework or something. So the market crash, there's a lot of, this is what happens, and this is what I said would happen the whole time. And what happens is you always get sensationalist headlines around market crashes. And I used those headlines, but I didn't use them in the way saying the market is crashing, Pokemon is over. I used them in a positive way. I said, this is what the rhetoric everyone is saying, but I think the complete opposite. I think it's just normal market volatility. That is exactly what happens in any given market. There's this constant interplay between supply and demand. And when supply outweighs demand, we're going to start to see small decreases in the market. And what we see over the Christmas and holiday period, it's not so much an increase in supply, it's actually a drop-off of demand. And the reason there's a drop-off of demand is because people are parking their money in more important places to them. So many reasons. They're going on holidays, they're buying Christmas presents, they're treating the family, they're treating themselves. Whatever it might be, the demand slightly drops off for anything, including Pokemon. And as a result, we start to see small decreases in prices. So we see decreases by 10% or 12% or 15%, or in some cases 20%, whether it's a PSA 10 slab, whether it's a raw single, whether it's a sealed elite trainer box, whether it's a sealed booster box, we see those differences in prices. Now conversely, that fluctuation or market fluctuation or volatility can go the other way. As soon as demand starts to rip up and we start to see a lack of supply of a certain product, of course we see the opposite. Prices start to come back. And that's the conversation I've been having over the last 3 months, is just don't worry. Like, we've seen such a massive growth in 2025. It was unrealistic to expect maybe anything else than a small retraction in a lot of prices when it comes to sealed Pokemon card products or PSA 10 slabs or raw singles, whatever it might be. It was no surprise to me. And those sensationalist headlines that we saw, that's what happens with everything. The moment, and think about it, sensationalist headlines are what captures people's attention, and it shouldn't be that way. But when's the last time you turned on the nightly news and for half an hour or however long the news goes for, it was all feel-good stories? It just doesn't happen, does it? Unfortunately. Every single story, it seems to be, other than maybe a 1-minute section about someone saving a puppy from, a river and a drowning, like every single story is sensationalist, scary, made to create fear. And I don't know why. Maybe that's because it's more gripping for people to watch. And it's the same thing in the Pokemon card space or any investing space. You see the stock market change, you get all these sensationalist headlines, and it gets so much airtime across news websites, any other website, airtime on the mainstream TV, internet, social media. It just gets spread. But the moment we start seeing an increase, it's like, okay, a few people mention it, but it's kept pretty quiet. And it's so interesting when that happens. And that's exactly what was happening in the Pokemon investing space, is everyone was being sensationalist about it, saying, Pokemon is not over. It is not over in any way, shape or form. And that's what I've been trying to reconfirm to everyone over the last 3 to 6, not 3 to 6, 3 to 4 months now, is that it's not over. And if you're checking your app, and that's what happens, if you're checking your app like Collector, which is of course the sponsor of today's video, which is a fantastic app to store your whole sealed collection and portfolio inside of. If you're checking an app like Collector that you use to track your profit every 2 days or day, and you start seeing it going down, that's when people panic sell. That is when fear comes into play. And that is the worst part from an investor. That's the worst part of the behavior you can have when it comes to investing, because you know what? If you're planning to hold for a long period of time, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, that small 3-month segment that we've just seen is going to be the smallest blip in the ocean, that it just doesn't matter. Like stop trying to chase this inevitable loss and just think that everything's going to zero and you've got to panic sell so you try and save yourself from losing more money. I mean, at the end of the day, like just check what you bought it for. Like just one example here, like Fusion Strike dropped off a little bit, which is a fantastic set. And I'll talk about sets that are rebounding, including Fusion Strike, but Fusion Strike dropped off a little bit. And I don't know, maybe some certain people were panic selling it. They were just like, whoa, I don't want to lose any more money on this. And it's like, well, hold on, what did you actually buy that for? Like it nudged $1,000 US, it dropped back down to $800 US. If you'd bought it for $150 US or $200 US, what's it matter that it's dropped from 1,000 to 800? You're still like $600, $650 US up. Like, I just don't get this sensationalist fear around it all. And you know what? I've been trying to spin the positive the whole time. And that's not because I have massive bags in the Pokemon investing space. I love to invest in Pokemon cards and I think it's a fun investment and I have a few, but that's not where I park most of my money. I always say, it's 5 to 10% of your income, 5 to 10% of your total investment portfolio. I'm not trying to constantly pump up the market. Like, the market will do what the market will do, whether I have an opinion on it or not. Like, what, I might sway a couple of people to buy a booster box. What impact's that going to have? It's the smallest drop in the ocean for the millions upon millions of booster boxes and elite trainer boxes that get printed. So with all that in mind, let's put a little bit of a positive spin on it. Everything is starting to rebound. And you know what happens there is, and this is probably the best example while we're on the topic of Fusion Strike. Fusion Strike at $1,000 US drops down to 800. You know what that does? You know what that volatility and that fear does? It creates opportunities. And what ends up happening is more people spend money at the 800 price than they were at the $1,000 price. So what you actually get is you get more people pouring money into the hobby. Yes, it's at a lower price, but it's at a price that represents more value to the smart investors. And that's what happens. The smart investors start coming in and they start buying products. And now, in my opinion, is actually a good time to buy. So this morning, I've bought a few more Sword and Shield booster boxes. I think there's some fantastic, phenomenal sets. And I know they're expensive now. And I hate that I didn't buy more. That was one of my tips. If you watch the 25 tips that I gave on the year that was 2025. Go back and watch it if you haven't watched it. Really good video. It's one of my longest ones for 2025. And my 25th tip was, I regret what I didn't do more than what I did do. And what I regret there is I regret not buying more Sword and Shield. Like, I was literally on this channel telling you guys and girls that these are going to be good investments. And there was all this fear around, oh, more than ever, people are holding Sword and Shield. There's so much Sword and Shield locked away in people's cupboards. It's never going to go up in price. It's not going to be like Sun and Moon. The pop reports for the PSA 10s are too high. Lugia's at 20,000. Umbreon's at 19,000. They're not going to go up like they used to. And you know what? Like, I didn't agree with that rhetoric. I agreed with the fact that we have 25 years of data back then, and now we have nearly 30 years of data saying that no matter what, sealed Pokemon card products are going to go up. And I wish I'd bought more. And one of the reasons I'm buying Sword and Shield again at the moment, and I know they're expensive, like I get that. And I get the fact that the percentage gains are being missed. I 100% get that. You don't need to tell me in the comments. I know that if I bought a booster box at $120 and it's now $600, I've 5 times my money. To now 5 times my money at $600, it's going to need to become a $3,000 booster box. I get that. But the gains you get, as in the total value you get if it does double, is huge. Like, you buy a $600 booster box, it goes to $1,200, you're making $600, of course. Whereas you buy a $120 booster box, even though they don't exist anymore, that's just an example, and it goes to $240, you're only making $120. So I don't mind spending the extra money. I don't mind starting to play in this slightly older segment. And there's other arguments behind that, particularly with the new printers that are coming online in whether it's 2027 or 2028. And there's a massive risk of course, the whole Mega Evolution block being reprinted. There's also the risk of those in rotation sets from Scarlet and Violet perhaps going back and being reprinted. Whether that'll happen or not, no one knows. No one's got a crystal ball for that stuff. I certainly don't. But what I do know is that Sword and Shield should be incredibly safe. And I also do know that the alt art sets from Sword and Shield are some of the most beautiful Pokemon card sets ever made. It's also the final era of Pokemon, or the final generation of Pokemon, that had yellow borders. And I think that'll be etched in stone a little bit when we zoom out and look at the Pokemon investing space, collecting space from an outward lens. We can zoom in certain parts and we can go, Wizards of the Coast holds its own, particularly the final Wizards of the Coast set. Like, they're just beautiful Pokemon card sets. And then we look at EX era and we go, whoa, like, that is fantastic. And then there's also some forgotten eras where, in my opinion, the artwork wasn't quite so good. Maybe just that there was a lack of chase cards inside sets. And we get to something like Scarlet and Violet and we go, okay, there's some really nice chase cards inside there. But I think if we're looking across the whole era of Pokemon cards from inception to whether it's 2040 or 2050, I think there's going to be a little neat special spot for Sword and Shield. It's going to be that part where people go, last yellow borders, the alternate art style, the art style was the best. And if you're into other mangas or other animes, even something like Dragon Ball, there was different art styles across Dragon Ball, and you look at different arcs across Dragon Ball, particularly say something like the Cell Saga. And during the Cell Saga, we got this art style, and forgive me for not knowing the art styles, maybe some of you guys or girls that are more into Dragon Ball will know it, but this real buffed up tank version of drawing of the characters. And that's etched in history as one of the greatest arcs because it trumps everything else. Like, I would rather go back and watch that than watch Dragon Ball Super. Maybe because A, the storyline's a little bit better, B, it's a bit more violent and in your face, and C, the artwork and style of the characters is way better. And on that, I think that'll ring true for Sword and Shield. I know it's a little bit of a loose connection there, but you get the argument I'm trying to present. Sword and Shield sets so this morning I've been buying, some more Chilling Reign. I know it's getting expensive, but that is one hell of a beautiful Pokemon card set. I'm not just here trying to pump it up. I'm giving credit where credit's due. The Blaziken is so good. The Moltres is even better. Whether that'll overtake Blaziken in the future as the most expensive chase card, I'm not sure, but that Moltres is one damn good looking card. The fact that it's coupled with just this different, even the Zorora, even having a gold Snorlax, even the Galarian Zapdos I love, that Roadrunner effect. It's a good looking Pokemon card set. And also, I know I've been harping on about this for a while, but Brilliant Stars I've also bought some more of this morning. That set is so underrated. An old art Charizard with this mini Evolving Skies somewhat trainer gallery with Mimikyu, Umbreon, it's just a stellar Pokemon card set. Even Astral Radiance, in my opinion, is underrated. That Machamp is a good-looking chase card. The Origin Form Dialga and Palkia are underrated. I think you're trying to get the point I'm trying to make. The artwork across this era is phenomenal. In my opinion, the chase cards are nicer-looking chase cards than what we got in Scarlet and Violet. They're nicer-looking chase cards than what we're getting so far in Mega Evolutions, minus maybe the Charizard. That will go down as a generational card, that Charizard. Is a damn good looking Charizard. So with all that in mind, a lot of sets are starting to rebound. A lot of sets that had sort of hit the floor have hit the floor. Fusion Strike seems to be coming back up. Lost Origin seems to be coming back up. Chilling Reign seems to be coming back up. Brilliant Stars seems to be coming back up. Paldea Evolved, if we're moving to Scarlet and Violet era, seems to have hit its floor and is stabilizing and maybe starting to come back up. Twilight Masquerade that hit the floor has started to come back up. So a lot of these sets that everyone said, Pokemon's doomed, it's done, everything's starting to rebound. And I actually think if you're a smart investor, now that it seems to have hit the floor and it's starting to come back up, now's the time to buy before it starts getting way too expensive. Thanks everyone again for tuning in. I'm Michael, this is Poke Oz, and I'll catch everyone next time.